Imagine you're sitting in the studio, right? You're putting the final, just meticulous polish on a master track.
Mm-hmm.
The mix is perfect, but suddenly your digital audio workstation just completely crashes. Your cloud-based project files vanish, and you realize that a typhoon hitting a massive server farm like halfway across the globe just brought down your entire recording session.
It's a terrifying thought.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because, you've got this incredible soundproofing on your studio walls, but the boundary between your physical room and the chaotic digital world outside
Mm-hmm.
has essentially just, well, it's dissolved.
Yeah, it is incredibly disorienting. I mean, we spent our lives building these partitions, right? Assuming a storm is just weather or a line of code is just software.
Right.
But suddenly, a vulnerability in an email server is literally a matter of national security, and a physical storm is a global data crisis.
Exactly. So, welcome to our deep dive. For you, the listener, especially as someone who understands the intense pressure of managing complex, high-stakes audio production, we have a really fascinating stack of briefing notes today. They're dated July 11th, 2026.
And looking at this material, it feels kind of like a scattershot of the apocalypse and the future, all just rolled into one.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we are jumping from ballistic missile barrages and typhoons to updates on university IT networks and these multi-billion-dollar AI rollouts.
It looks completely chaotic on the surface. But, if we trace the signal path, there's a very deliberate through line connecting all of this.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is to connect these seemingly random dots to reveal how the underlying infrastructure of our entire world,
Both the physical, concrete, and steel stuff, and the invisible digital routing.
right, how all of that is being radically rewired. And we're going to explore what that actually means for your privacy, for the classrooms your kids are sitting in, and really for the stability of our future.
To set the stage here, we need to understand that the honeymoon phase of technological development is just over.
Thank goodness.
Seriously. For the last decade, we lived in this era of hypothetical disruption, dreaming up the biggest AI models or the sleekest cloud architecture.
The shiny new toys.
Exactly. But reading through these sources, it is glaringly obvious we have entered an era of hard, practical integration. Every headline we are looking at today is a story about the signal chain either violently buckling under pressure or being painstakingly rebuilt to actually work in the real world.
Yeah, the training wheels are definitely off,
Yeah.
especially when we look at physical geography. I mean, the very definition of a battlefield or a disaster zone is entirely changing.
It's unrecognizable in some ways.
Let's start with the briefing on Ukraine and Russia. The sources detail this heavy overnight Russian ballistic missile and drone barrage on Kyiv.
Right.
And Ukraine's countermove isn't just, pushing back on a physical trench line. They deployed drones to hit 21 Russian fuel tankers out in the Sea of Azov.
Because they are targeting the logistical blood supply of the war machine. It is a long-range duel over energy logistics, not just a clash of infantry.
Which completely bypasses the traditional front line. It's wild. And then, thousands of miles away, we have Typhoon Bobby.
Yeah. The scale of this storm it's massive.
It forced the evacuation of over 1.8 million people in China. Taiwan had to shut down schools and offices in its capital, and this is coming right on the heels of monsoon flooding in the Philippines that killed at least 15 people.
It's devastating.
It is. But the briefing notes point out a really unique modern stressor here. This intense Pacific weather is pounding a region that is experiencing a massive data center boom.
And that creates just an unprecedented infrastructure collision because, data centers, especially those powering modern AI, they run incredibly hot.
Oh yeah, like running a rack of vintage tube amps 2147.
Exactly. They require massive, continuous draws of electricity to power the server racks and those immense liquid cooling systems that are required to just keep them from melting down.
And what happens when the storm hits?
Well, when a typhoon hits, the local power grid is already heavily strained. Suddenly, grid operators are forced into this impossible triage between, keeping hospital life support running and preventing catastrophic global data loss.
Wow. It's the ultimate stress test. It shows that a storm isn't just wind and rain anymore. It is a real-time assault on our mobile alert systems, our global supply chains, and, well, our cloud storage.
Because everything is tethered together now.
Everything.
Yeah.
Which brings me to this fascinating political update from Moldova. So their president, Maia Sandu, just nominated a 44-year-old named Vasil Tofan as prime minister.
A very interesting choice.
Right. The guy is a Harvard Business School grad and a prominent tech investor. And I find myself wondering, why would a country physically wedged between Ukraine and Romania right in the middle of a massive regional conflict, put a financier in charge of their government.
What's fascinating here is that it perfectly illustrates how the definition of national security has evolved. Security is no longer just about, buying tanks or building border walls.
Yeah. So it's more about the spreadsheet than the armory.
In a way, yeah. Moldova hiring a finance and tech-focused prime minister is a strategic, hard-nosed defense move.
So his ability to balance a budget is essentially acting as a deterrent.
It is deeper than the budget. It is about economic and digital entanglement. The sources point out that his nomination signals a massive push toward Western-facing economic reform.
Okay, so integrating with Europe.
Specifically, deep fintech integration with the European Union. In 2026, security means cross-border payment integration, robust e-governance platforms, and adopting rigorous EU cybersecurity standards.
Oh, I see. If Moldova's banking ledgers and digital infrastructure are seamlessly welded to Europe's rails, an adversary can't just flip a switch to isolate or destabilize them.
Exactly. Just as Ukraine targeting fuel logistics shows that wars are fought in supply chains, Moldova shows that national survival depends on digital resilience.
That paints a really clear picture. The physical stability of a nation is now entirely dependent on its digital architecture, which means, well, if the physical battlefields have dissolved into these logistical and digital networks, it stands to reason that our everyday digital infrastructure is facing the exact same level of bombardment.
And it absolutely is. According to the sources, the institutions we trust the most are sitting completely exposed.
Yeah, we are basically looking at the invisible front lines of cybersecurity. And the updates here gave me genuine anxiety.
The Progress software alert.
Yes. So first, we have Progress Software issuing what the briefing calls a drastic, urgent warning to customers using a tool called ShareFile.
Right.
They were telling customers to completely shut down their Windows servers, specifically their storage zone controllers. And they're not saying, hey, download a patch over the weekend. It is pull the plug right now.
To put that in perspective, a storage zone controller is the mechanism that bridges a company's highly secure internal files with the external, public-facing internet so employees can share links. It is the digital equivalent of, say, a direct patch bay connecting your private, soundproofed recording booth directly to a public broadcast feed.
Oh, wow. So if that controller has a vulnerability, attackers can just walk right past your firewall.
Exactly. The threat is so severe that absolute downtime is the only safe operational state.
A total blackout just to prevent an invasion. That is intense. And following right behind that, Mount Royal University gets hit by a massive ransomware attack.
And that wasn't just a lockdown.
No, the attackers didn't just lock the systems. They stole and permanently deleted employee, student, and institutional data.
Which is devastating for universities.
Completely. And finally, we have suspected China-aligned hackers heavily targeting universities, specifically exploiting vulnerabilities in a software called Roundcube to infiltrate physics and research departments. And I have to pause here because I'm genuinely struggling to understand the motive.
I know, it seems counterintuitive.
Very. When we think of nation-state hackers, especially highly funded groups, we imagine them going after the Pentagon or, like, trying to breach giant multinational banks.
Right, the big targets.
Yeah. Why on earth would state-linked actors burn valuable zero-day exploits on a university physics department's webmail portal? It sounds like they're breaking into a college dorm.
I imagine it seems low stakes, but you really have to look at the reality of the soft target. The Pentagon is a digital fortress.
Sure.
A university physics department, on the other hand, is an absolute treasure trove of cutting-edge intellectual property. We're talking aerospace designs, quantum computing research, advanced materials data.
And I'm guessing like a chaotic university recording studio with 100 different session musicians coming in and out, the security is incredibly porous.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Universities inherently want to be open, collaborative environments.
Right.
They have thousands of students, faculty, and visiting researchers logging in from all over the world on unmanaged personal laptops. It is an IT nightmare.
Oh, man. And Roundcube.
Roundcube, for context, is the underlying software many universities use to run their custom webmail interfaces. It sits right at the intersection of email communications, user passwords, and internal network access.
Ah, I get it. So if a state-linked actor wants a backdoor into next-generation engineering research, a vulnerable webmail server guarded by a stretched educational IT budget is just the perfect point of entry.
It is the entire ballgame. And that's why the sources are heavily emphasizing fundamental security architectures, specifically this concept of least privilege access.
Meaning a user is only granted the bare minimum network access required to do their specific task, right?
Precisely. If a student's webmail account gets compromised by a phishing link, that breach should be contained right there.
It shouldn't give the hacker lateral movement to access the university payroll system or the advanced physics lab data.
Exactly. When you combine least privilege architecture with offline backups, meaning copies of your data that are physically air-gapped and disconnected from the network.
Kind of like keeping a master tape reel in a physical vault so a ransomware crew can't touch it.
That's a great way to put it. You build resilience that way. As the Mount Royal incident shows, the absence of those protocols is the difference between a bad one and a total institutional catastrophe.
Man. Well, if the stakes are truly this high, I mean, if an unpatched file-sharing server can bring down a corporation or a university email portal can leak state secrets, it makes complete sense that the people writing the checks for this technology are starting to push back.
Oh, absolutely. The buyers are finally demanding leverage.
According to the briefing, New York City schools, which is the largest public school district in the United States, has completely frozen new technology purchases.
A massive move.
Yeah, Chancellor Kumar Samuels halted everything to conduct a massive district-wide technology review.
And it's not just at the district level.
Right. Concurrently, the National Education Association, the largest labor union in the country, just elected a new president, Princess Moss. She won a tight race with just over 50% of the vote.
And what's interesting about her background?
What caught my eye is that she is a working music teacher, not a career administrator. Her entire platform centers on bringing the actual pragmatic voice of the classroom into these high-level national debates.
And if we pivot to the corporate side, the sources show Microsoft launching a dedicated AI deployment group backed by an immense $2.5 billion investment.
Which is huge. When you look at all of that together, it feels like a massive cultural shift. We have definitively exited the Silicon Valley move fast and break things era.
Yes.
Moving fast is fine when you're recording a GarageBand demo, but these institutions are pressing platinum records. They've entered the move slowly and audit the signal chain era.
That is the exact maturation of the market. Let's look at the Microsoft move for a second.
All right, sure.
For the last several years, the entire tech narrative was a frantic race to train the biggest, smartest AI model. But tech giants are realizing that the real value and the infinitely harder challenge isn't just making the model smart.
That's what you do with it.
It is the unglamorous, highly complex work of safely deploying it into real human workflows.
Because an AI is useless if it hallucinates false information or, if it accidentally exposes sensitive internal data to the wrong employee.
Exactly. Building a system that can look at a user's prompt, instantly check their security permissions, retrieve only the data they are legally allowed to see, and then generate a helpful answer without breaking compliance laws.
That requires incredibly intricate plumbing.
That is what Microsoft is spending $2.5 billion to build out. And it perfectly mirrors what Chancellor Samuels and Princess Moss are demanding.
Right, they want accountability.
After years of aggressive, almost panicked tech purchasing, educators and enterprise leaders are exhausted by tool sprawl. They don't want another shiny app. They want evidence-based tools that respect their network security and actually solve problems for the staff in the room.
This sets up a massive tug-of-war. We're seeing institutions demand control from the top down, but everyday users are fighting just as fiercely for control from the bottom up.
It's a very tense dynamic.
It is. We are being handed tools with genuinely magical capabilities, but we completely distrust the magicians providing them.
Well said.
Let's look at the AI updates, because here's where the tension gets really fascinating. OpenAI just released new voice models that can listen, speak, and live translate simultaneously.
It is a staggering technical achievement in latency and processing.
It feels like sci-fi. It's like having an auto-tune plugin that instantly translates a vocal track into Mandarin while perfectly preserving the original emotional timbre.
The implications are huge.
The briefing highlights how transformative this is for classrooms with multilingual students, replacing that clunky walkie-talkie style translation with fluid conversation. But then, on the flip side, you have Elon Musk releasing Grok 4.5, an Opus-class model. But his entire pitch is competing heavily on efficiency and price per query.
And that focus on efficiency is vital. At enterprise scale, asking a massive AI model a simple question is like hiring an entire symphony orchestra just to tune a guitar.
That's a great analogy.
The compute costs are just astronomical. Scale requires streamlined routing. But the real friction in the sources is the backlash against these centralized models.
The pushback is immense. Meta rolled out a new AI image generator called Muse Image, and the revolt was immediate.
Users were furious.
They were terrified that their personal, private photos were being scraped to train the system. But the most telling data point here is the rise of a tool called Llama.
Ah, yes. Oh, Llama.
It's an open-source platform that lets you run AI models locally on your own hardware. They just raised $65 million. They boast nearly 9 million users, 176,000 stars, and 17,000 forks on GitHub. And the entire selling point is that it operates completely without the cloud. Your data never leaves your machine.
It is a profound rejection of the centralized tech monopolies. To understand the appeal, you have to look at the mechanics.
Okay, lay it on me.
Historically, AI models were so massive you needed a server farm to run them. But through processes like quantization,
Which is exactly.
it essentially shrinks the mathematical weights of the model without destroying its intelligence. And platforms like Llama use this to allow incredibly capable AI to run on the standard consumer silicon inside a modern laptop, like an Apple M chip.
Oh, so running a Llama locally is exactly like using an analog outboard compressor in your physical studio rack instead of routing your audio through a cloud-based digital plugin.
Yes.
You have zero latency, total ownership of the process, and the audio never leaves the room.
That is the perfect analogy. And for privacy-sensitive fields, it is revolutionary. Think about it. If you are a therapist transcribing session notes or a special education teacher drafting an IEP,
An individualized education program.
right, which is a highly confidential legal document detailing a student's specific learning accommodations, you legally and ethically cannot feed that data into a public cloud server.
Right. That's a massive privacy violation.
But a Llama gives you the processing power of an advanced AI, completely walled off behind your own hardware.
Which explains why the browser wars are suddenly heating up again.
Yes, the browser is the new battleground.
I haven't thought about a browser war since, like, the 1990s. But the sources show OpenAI retiring its ChatGPT Atlas browser, while DuckDuckGo is aggressively rolling out a built-in YouTube ad blocker.
Because the browser is the mixing board for the internet. Whoever controls the browser controls the inputs and outputs.
Right.
They dictate what trackers get blocked, what ads are displayed, what behavioral data is harvested, and which AI assistant is allowed to interface with your workflow.
So DuckDuckGo blocking ads and OpenAI trying to integrate their models directly into the navigation experience, that's a battle over who gets to act as the ultimate digital gatekeeper.
Precisely. Users want localized ad-free privacy, while corporations want seamless cloud-based data integration.
Man, it is a heavy, exhausting news cycle. We have global conflicts turning into logistical energy duels, nation-states hacking unpatched physics departments, educators freezing multi-million-dollar budgets, and this vicious daily tug-of-war over who owns our digital footprints.
It is heavy. But the briefing notes deliberately shift focus in their final section, highlighting an incredible undercurrent of resilience.
And it comes in some remarkably simple packages.
It really does.
In the What's Trending section, right alongside geopolitics, you have the digital water cooler. Millions of people are still waking up every single day and bonding over puzzle games, Wordle, connections, strands.
They are tiny, shared, global habits.
Think about your morning routine. Doing today's Wordle might seem entirely trivial, but when the headlines feel this heavy, these synchronized digital rituals act as a unifying glue.
It's a shared experience that has absolutely nothing to do with ransomware or missile strikes.
Exactly. And we see the exact same desire for connection in sports.
The sheer scale of the global audience is staggering.
Right. The 2026 World Cup semifinals, you have Spain playing France in Arlington, Texas, two undefeated heavyweights. You have England playing Norway. And then, completely breaking the internet, you have Conor McGregor slapping Max Holloway's sunglasses off his face during a stare-down.
Typical McGregor.
It's pure McGregor theatrics. But it dominated timelines globally because people are desperate for a shared spectacle. We want to feel the resonance of a crowd, even a digital one.
And if we pull back and look at the larger architecture of these sources, it reveals something fundamental. We spent most of this deep dive analyzing massive systems buckling under pressure.
Yep.
But the briefing ends with profound examples of systems patiently rebuilding.
The Forest Recovery Initiative.
Yes. Conservationists are tracking what is being heralded as one of the world's greatest forest recoveries. And this wasn't achieved by a massive corporation dropping seeds from airplanes.
No, it's totally grassroots.
It is happening on land, previously written off as completely degraded, brought back to life through granular, community-led replanting. They are painstakingly mapping local ecologies, restoring the soil microbiomes, and nurturing the mycorrhizal networks.
The underground fungal webs that allow trees to share nutrients.
Exactly.
It's like finding the perfect acoustic resonance in a room everyone else told you was acoustically dead.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And the briefing pairs that natural recovery with scientific breakthroughs, like a new microRNA blood test catching womb cancer earlier than ever before.
Which is incredible news.
And Estonia making massive environmental progress. Estonia is a prime example of integration done right. They digitized their grid management, using smart metering to track energy consumption down to the household level.
Which I'm guessing makes the grid super efficient.
Yes, it allowed them to flawlessly integrate renewable energy sources. These aren't flashy, disruptive tech announcements. They are small, patient, molecular-level victories.
Yeah.
The metaphor here is incredibly powerful. Just as strangers bond over a daily puzzle, local communities are planting trees one by one to heal a broken landscape. It proves that whether you are dealing with a destroyed forest or a deeply vulnerable technological infrastructure, patient, community-driven effort results in remarkable resilience.
Systems can be made stronger. Well, we really covered an immense amount of ground today. We started with drone strikes in the Sea of Azov and typhoon-strained data centers, seeing how physical geography is entirely dependent on digital infrastructure.
We explored the hidden vulnerabilities inside university webmail servers.
We watched educators and enterprise leaders demand real accountability over AI deployment. We navigated the fierce tension between the magic of OpenAI's real-time translation and the demand for localized privacy with tools like Llama. And we landed on the quiet, methodical power of a recovering forest.
It is a lot of complex routing to process, and it leaves me with one final thought to consider, extrapolating from the patterns we've discussed today.
Let's hear it.
We noted the massive popularity of Llama, millions of users demanding local, private control over their AI, intentionally keeping it off the cloud. And we ended with the profound success of local, community-led efforts replanting their own forests. If we are seeing this intense cultural push toward local private control in our software and local stewardship in our nature, how long until we start demanding local off-grid versions of everything else?
Oh, wow.
Will the future of our power grids, our community schools, and our social networks eventually reject these massive, centralized global systems entirely in favor of localized, disconnected microgrids? In a world where connection is vulnerability, is independence the ultimate luxury?
Wow. From total global interconnectedness right back to local analog independence. That is a brilliant concept to chew on.
The pendulum is always swinging.
It really is. We will leave you to mull that over in your own time. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the briefing notes. No matter what the headlines say or how chaotic the signal chain of our world gets, there is always a forest somewhere quietly growing back. There's always reason to keep listening. Keep learning, stay curious, and we'll catch you next time.